Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB Reacts, where today we got ourselves a track from iDunnö titled We Are the Divorcees. And if we switch over to here, we got ourselves a track here on YouTube, the music video for it, the uncut version. In this band, we have frontman Alex, as well as lead guitar iDunnö, guitar and backing vocals by Mikey, as well as bass by Luis. Drums and growls by Tony, backing vocals from Ryan, and producer Ross. So there's quite a few people involved. It should be good to listen through this track from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it. Let's go. Straight to it. It's punk, man.
From the start, picture and horror, it's sickness and how nothing was meant to tear us apart. Love and to cherish till death do us part. Yeah, right. We are the divorcees. Yeah, I love it. You guys rock.
Hell yeah.
Crazy motherfucker. We are the divorcees. Bastards are we. That's right. We are the divorcees. Failures from the start. Picture and horror. In sickness and health. Nothing was meant to tear us apart. Love and to cherish.
Oh yeah, double time, man. Great syncopation here. Oh yeah, man, that was genuinely sick. I enjoyed my time with that. I love the attitude behind it. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named iDunnö titled We Are the Divorcees. In this section, we're going to be providing an overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through to studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique. And then finally, my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think it's about the band kind of singing about how they are the divorcees. We thought everything was going to be happily ever after. Yeah, right. And there's this wonderful sense of humor to it. It's kind of sardonic in its approach to the way that we kind of like to, it's kind of sarcastic, you know. I dig that. I think that in this situation where like that's occurred, like what can you really do? I love that we had these two halves of it where we just repeat the line and then we have the band kind of coming together and talking about how we're crazy motherfuckers and stuff like that. And then we kind of repeat it again at the end with that big kind of flourish at the end for the outro. We're really not trying to overcomplicate the messaging here. We're really sort of, I suppose, celebrating our position in that and just kind of making a tune out of it. It could have been a minute-long song, but they knew they wanted to add that kind of interesting offbeat, just kind of syncopated part at the end, and that big kind of call out near the end there just to fade us out there. It's just so much attitude behind it. It's so rock and roll, man. It's so punk. And what I like about it as well is that the vocals are gritty and they're raw. They're not taking themselves too seriously. Like they can sing, they can hit the notes cleanly, but there's this like kind of organic, free-flowing nature to the phrasing within the lines there. We're not trying to be too deliberately like cut to the rhythm of like the drums or anything like that. We're not trying to be too in time in certain parts. It's almost like we're kind of working these things out as we go along. It's kind of an interesting sense of like being deliberate and not deliberate at the same time. But yeah, I like the lack of complexity because I feel like if we over-explained it, it would just maybe lose its effect and sense of humor. I think that again, the part of them, just structurally, that part in the middle was cool. And ultimately, yeah, you know, you can kind of understand where they're coming from. And I think the growls as well for a bit of aggression and kind of like push behind it was a nice extra bit of sass as well. And just the kind of primal howl at the end there was just neat. Yeah, honestly. So I think the vocals in this track are done well. They're true and tested to the style that we're doing. No complaints there. Structurally at 2 minutes 11, again, we've got that sort of main kind of hook line. Then we have that little interlude in the middle. And then we have another one with the final kind of reiteration there. And then an outro. And it's 2 minutes 10. And there's absolutely no filler within it. It's an interesting song because sometimes people will be kind of like trying to overcomplicate things structurally. And to be fair, you do have like these two riffs per side there. With the palm mutes in the first ones and a dun da dun da dun dun da dun. You have like different grooves per part of these halves. I mean, you start with that kind of grinding distorted guitar riff at the beginning there, and you kind of crescendo with the snare fill there. And it's a nice intro there. We would kind of sit there with the kind of feistiness of those guitars for a bit, and we kind of get a feeling before we get into the thick of it. And we have the chanted we are before we get into the main crux of it there to kind of give you a hint of what's to come. Like everyone's kind of chanting it in unison, like you got that kind of crowd thing. And it's filmed in a live performance as well, which I think is genuinely neat. But there's a nice kind of tightness to the chugged palm muting there. And I think the drum beat kind of pummeling along with it with the eighth note pattern is sick there as well. There, things are tight rhythmically. And then the section that follows after it, where we adjust the drum groove there, we have some distorted kind of major minor kind of bar chords there. Or we might have some modulated major chords, but it's just kind of sarcastic in that point, having those happy chords with that kind of fizz over it. You have those kind of vocal cracks with the tear us apart. You know, it's just, yeah, it's kind of visceral in a way. What I kind of dig as well, like throughout that section there, we've just had a really satisfying loop between the A and B riff. We have like a filtered guitar part, if I'm not mistaken. It could be the same kind of processing, but like taking away a bit of the low end when you have the bottles clinking and the people talking in the middle, kind of lessens the intensity and adds a sense of dynamic range to it. It was also cool to have the Foley and the extra recording there, like hearing them in live, you know. I should note that the bass is pretty well behaved in this. Like they handled themselves well in terms of the groove and pace and rhythm of it. They're a nice support in the low end there, and they come in when they need to, nice and thick and full, not overcomplicated. I think at that 1:28 minute mark though, I'm glad that we did go double time with that, because I feel like you would have maybe had a good sort of understanding of what the riffs were at that point. Adjusting the feel of a track at that point lets the listener know, hey, we're not taking your attention for granted, even though this is such a short form factor piece. And it kind of raises the intensity of the song in a sense where we're coming to a conclusion. And as we slow down after that point, they're kind of taking a step back. It's still kind of busy because of the way that things are on being syncopated with the drums, with the guitar drums. There's a nice sense of rhythmic unison between the elements there though, which makes it work. As you get with those final dun dun staccato crescendo parts near the end, you just feel like you've had an experience with iDunnö. And that minimalist kind of tomful at the end as people cry out is just the icing on the cake. So yeah, I think the structure is well fleshed out. It's one of those tracks where like in the first listen, you kind of absorb it and you feel like it's relatively minimalist, but these little kind of changes you go through it compositionally, which are quite special. But yeah, ultimately, I think with both the expression of the vocalist, the expression was awesome. Again, I love the attitude behind it, the authenticity behind it, as well as the messaging, as well as the style of music, as well as the distorted guitar tones, the kind of way we're sort of rolling with things, the drum and bass grooves as well. Everything is quite well connected. There's no filler, and it's a tight performance. You know, generally overall, it's a tight performance. There's great chemistry between the members. They're no out of place. It's just a really raw performance. I think that's what they were going for. It's just the band rocking out punk style. You know, you can't. Yeah, it's great. Thematically minor oriented, and I think that makes sense considering the subject matter. You do have the major chords again, which are a bit sarcastic and stuff like that as well, which I appreciate. And it's nice to have different chord progressions within the song as well, to not again just have one idea that's repeated on loop there. Even the Sean Ford Fantasy song, you can't just assume people will want the same thing for 2 minutes. So I like the adjustments of groove there and the progressions and how they represent themselves. It's just easy to follow along to. From a studio recording, mixing and mastering perspective, I think in general, the guitar, bass, drums, vocals, as well as the Foley takes, the boulders, etc., it's really well handled. Things are just recorded neatly. You can tell they actually played their instruments. Things were nicely sort of panned on the side. The guitars sound huge. The drums and bass sound punchy as well, and the vocals aren't overproduced there. They clearly hit the notes they need to. They're not choked by processing or trying to sort of like sterilize it. It's nice and raw and organic. There's no weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. There is dynamic range, and not a lot. It's tightly glued, but there is enough to not make it feel choked. And it's nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and limiting is handled. No applicable constructive critique, honestly. I think it's the kind of song where, like, if you'd gone for 3 minutes, from a final general listener's perspective, if this song had gone for longer than 2 minutes, I feel like it would have been too much, because you kind of got the idea of what the track was about from the first minute. Adjusting the instrumental parts in the later half and kind of, you know, chopping the kind of vocalization of it in the second part was good. And I'm glad that they were aware of how much they needed to have there in order to make it work. Ultimately though, I wish everyone involved the best of luck in future, great first impression with the band. Because thank you for watching my review of this track, titled We Are the Divorcees from iDunnö. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.